So I started reading manga.
A lot has changed in a couple months. I'll say that. This is not even half of the collection. I got 2 other bookshelves on this side of the room that you can't even see. Just know a brother's been reading and the brother's been collecting. But if you asked me, like, Kenny, have you read I Am a Hero? Have you read The Promised Neverland? The answer is going to be no in most cases. It's not that I'm just collecting to have them. I do plan on getting to the point where I'm reading these things. But there was one story, one manga, that is completely taken over my time, and of course, that is One Piece. I didn't expect this channel to turn into a manga/anime channel, and I'm not even saying that it will, but these are the things that's on top of mind right now, so it's what we gotta talk about. People that know me see me as a casual anime enjoyer, and there's nothing wrong in that. Whether it be Naruto, Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man, My Hero Academia, I had no shame in watching what was popping that season and leaving it at that. So when people understood that I enjoyed anime at least a little bit, I always got these tweets and messages saying, Kenny, you gotta start One Piece. And a couple years ago, I did. I watched the first 5 or 6 episodes of One Piece and I did enjoy it, but then I did the Google. How many episodes are in One Piece? And you'll see that number and immediately you realize how much amount of time you'll have to dedicate to catching up to the story. And for me, at that point, it wasn't worth it. And then I started to care about manga. And obviously, reading a story is a lot faster than watching it. So I dove into One Piece and I started to like it. And here we are today, where I can't put the story down, y'all. I mean, well, I did now. I'm taking a break. I'm taking like a 3 to 4 day break from reading the story because I've got to the point we're at the time jump. And I do believe flying through a series of this caliber is kind of preventing me from taking the story in and digesting it. Where I will finish with one arc and then 30 seconds later, I'm starting the next one instead of looking back, reflecting, and thinking about what I just read. So I'm gonna take some time. Because boy, oh boy, these last couple arcs, I gotta tell you, these last couple arcs are peak. So I am saying this from the perspective of a guy that's only read the manga. I have not watched the show other than like if a big fight happens, I want to see it animated. I might go to YouTube and type in that specific fight, but I've only been reading, and I'm also a new manga reader, if that makes sense. Just a few months ago is when I picked it up. So everything I say in this video is from my own perspective. I might mistalk, I might mispronounce. I have dyslexia and I'm reading. So don't expect it to be perfect. You know what? It wasn't perfect. If you go back and look at my tweets when I first started the series, I was maybe 50 chapters in and I tweeted, when does peak start to be peak? I literally thought about dropping the entire series because I was 50 chapters in and I was enjoying it, but it wasn't hitting me the same way that I've seen it hit other people. And then we got to Arlong Park. And that is when it turned for me as somebody that was just reading it because people expected me to reading it because I wanted to. And I think it's mostly due to the writing of Ude. Is that how you pronounce it? Dang. Again, I've only seen it written. I haven't heard it pronounced. I think it's because of the writing in this arc that made me really dive in and really want to see the rest or read the rest. And this is where we get the backstory of the soon-to-be navigator of the Straw Hat crew, Nami. We find out all the sacrifices she has made to keep her village alive. And there was one specific moment in this arc that just changed everything. It's where Nami's sitting on the ground in tears and she looks back over her right shoulder and she says, Luffy, help me. Oh boy. I knew it was on, and I knew based on Luffy's response that he is not just the captain of the Straw Hats, but he's gonna be my captain too. I'm riding with Luffy right now, man. He takes off his hat, he puts it on her head, and that is the moment where I fell in love with the series. And I told people that on Twitter, and they said, Kenny, you ain't seen nothing yet. And they didn't lie. They did not lie. It continued to get better and better and better till we get to the point we are now. And I don't even know. I can make a 50-minute video about the last 2 arcs, man. I don't want to sit here and talk about every single arc and what I liked about it, even though I'm sure some of y'all would enjoy that type of video. I don't have a script. I never really do. I do want to fast forward until we get to Impelled Down and how this, again, even though I'm enjoying it and I'm having a lot of fun, up the ante a huge amount. Luffy finds out that his brother Ace has been captured by the government and is going to get executed. And he made it his sole mission to help and rescue his brother. He finds out that his brother Ace is being held captive at this underwater jail where nobody has ever got out of. With the help of some people, he sneaks in and ultimately gets to the point where his brother would have been, but they had already escorted him to his next spot to be executed. But this entire trip through this jail, you get to see just the amount of will that Luffy has. And along the way, you get to see a bunch of characters that Luffy has fought and defeated along the way. So we're starting to see people get reintroduced. People are having their own personal arcs from being a villain to being one of the saviors. I ain't forgot about you, my guy. And eventually, he's able to escape this jail alongside his own makeshift crew, because him and his crew have been separated, in order to go and try to free Ace from the government. And while Luffy and this new crew that he patched together are on their way there, there's already the War of the Worlds going on. The government versus Whitebeard. And Uday does such a great job through the first 500 chapters of setting up every single person that is involved in this. From the pirates to the government, we know who they are, we know their motivations, we know their abilities. And it's a full-on dogfight, ladies and gentlemen. It's a full-on dogfight. And while they're boxing it out, Luffy and his squad comes from the heavens of water and lands, boom, ready to go into action. What I failed to mention is that while he was escaping his jail, he had got poisoned. And this poison had him on the very last breath of his life. Through some motivation from people from his makeshift crew and through some hormones, he was able to fight through it, but he's still not at 100%. So he lands there and he's fighting. Again, I recommend going to watch it, read it. I'm not giving you everything. But he eventually gets to the point where he frees his brother Ace. And in my mind, all they got to do is get out of here and everything is great. But then Luffy becomes vulnerable and Ace steps in front of a deadly blow to save Luffy. Saved his little brother. And this tore me apart, y'all. And I was tweeting about it and people were saying, Kenny, I don't know how you went this long without having anybody spoil this story. I still have not been spoiled in this moment. And this right here, this moment right here is what makes this the best story I've ever read. Because in every single arc, every single moment of Luffy's story so far, he has been victorious. And in my mind, if that was going to stay the pattern, I would have been okay with it because of the world building and because of the story that was being implemented to this part. Luffy literally fought a god at Skypiea and won. So in my mind, this story is strictly about this kid who has all the will, all the power, and will be the Pirate King eventually. And will he get there? I don't know. I still got like 400 chapters to go. But I'd never actually seen him be defeated to this way. And this is ultimately why I'm extremely excited to see this 2-year post all of this, because I don't know what's exactly going to happen. We don't know exactly how the death of Ace is going to impact him going forward. But boy, I felt it. I felt those moments. And in a little while after that, Whitebeard also. I felt those moments, man. And the reason I felt these moments is because of the 599 chapters leading up to this moment. And this is where it broke from it not just being a story about a kid that wanted to be the king of the pirates, but instead a story about real life, about friendship, about family. And I didn't expect it. And that's what good writing is. And again, I think what makes this story different than any other story I've read, and I'm not just talking in manga form, I mean just like in general, is the world building, the setting up. Things that happen in the first couple chapters of the story are coming back in chapter 522. Characters that I personally thought were done and dealt with come back later in the story and become big parts of helping Luffy become what he ultimately wants to become. And I'm excited to see how the Straw Hat crew use these last 2 years to get better. And the story is so good that I have personally immersed myself in the world where you can't see it. Well, I actually don't want you to see it. For the first time in my life, I attempted to put together a model and I failed. It ain't done. It's not even close to done, but I got it on display as if I did my thing, because if you don't know One Piece, you would have thought that I did my thing. It don't even have, this is the merry-go. It doesn't even have the, yeah, I did a poor job. But I sat down for 4 hours doing this poor job and enjoyed it because it was One Piece. I've bought blankets, I've bought clothes, I've bought figurines, I've bought a lot of different stuff to just showcase my fandom of the show. And again, I just got into it 2 months ago. And I'm even contemplating a One Piece tattoo. That's how much I am enjoying the series. The guy at my local Barnes & Noble has one. Got the one that Ace has that represents Ace, Sabo, Crybaby Luffy, and then Whitebeard, right? Those are the people. I think so. He's got that one, and I won't do that. But I'm genuinely thinking about attaching myself to the story and the lore on my own personal body. I don't know to what extent. I'm not in a huge rush because I want to at least complete the series before I make that big decision. But it's going through my mind. I don't know. I feel like there's so much more I can say about the story. That's probably why I should write scripts and stuff, but that's just not the vibes.